Okay, Dr. Dan Yachter, the chiropractor, and this is News, Views, and Weekly Updates. And each and every Wednesday, we bring you all the news that's fit to print, the most important, pertinent um, items on the healthcare landscape. And we're going to go ahead and jump in. Of course, there was a big announcement about Tylenol. We're going to talk about that, Tylenol and vaccines. We're going to talk about the master class last night. Thank you to all who were able to make it. And if you were not, please be on the lookout for our next master class. We would love to have you there. And I'm going to give you kind of a little bit of a recap from last night. And of course, talk about some of the upcoming events as well. So I'm broadcasting from a different part of the office here. So hopefully the internet connection holds up. We're praying. So a couple of things that I wanted to mention in regards to the announcement yesterday, Tylenol vaccines. One of the things that was mentioned, and again, all of these things that I'm going to be mentioning and talking about in the articles and the information, all posted inside of our private group, My Family, My Mission, is the topic of concern and the conversation that's going on right now regarding vaccines and Tylenol has to do with something that I discuss with my patients all the time. Many of you guys, if you've had the Dutch test, the dry urine test with comprehensive hormones, the Dutch test shows when we look at hormones, the way they're being processed throughout the body, urinated out of the body. One of the things that we look at is we look at these pathways that are going through the body, particularly having to do with the liver pathways. And that's what shows up on your big report when it comes back. Many patients, many of you guys who are listening, watching, have had that Dutch test done with me. And over many, many years, when those come back, what I do is I go through the pathways. So the conversation regarding vaccines and Tylenol and the fact that Tylenol's recommended by many pediatricians after vaccines are given, multiple vaccines, that many times produce a fever. Why does the body kick up a fever? Because there's something toxic there, and the body's using fever to kill it off, to get it out of the body, to accelerate the detoxification efforts of the body. And primarily in the liver, there are enzymes that are involved with those pathways. There's also glutathione, but in particular, there's a enzyme. And again, one of the things that we talk about the pathways, there's a particular enzyme. One of the pathways, the CYP. It actually shows up, in the liver. We talk about liver detoxification and hormonal detoxification, estrogen congregation, getting bad or used up hormones out of the body. These very same pathways that are used to detoxify hormones are also used just in general in the liver to really help along the process of detoxification. And so what Tylenol does, it gets in the way of that detoxification pathway. So you have a child who's vaccinated, usually multiple vaccines, especially if they're being caught up on vaccines. And now there's an insult. There's toxic ingredients. There's aluminum, there's mercury in many of the vaccines. There's other toxic adjuvants that are inside of these vaccines. The liver is going to try to get rid of very quickly. The body's going to try to get rid of very quickly. And again, when a fever is produced inside of the effort to get rid of the stuff, pediatricians, moms may give their children Tylenol to kind of make the child more comfortable, bring the fever down, what have you. And in doing so, shutting down the pathways of detoxification, or some of these pathways. And when you do that, you also affect glutathione, which is a major master antioxidant and part of the detoxification process in the liver. Now you have shut off the very pathways that are needed to get rid of this toxic stuff. It backs up and it causes very serious reactions. And again, vaccine exposure, this is the pathway to regression into autism. You have vaccine exposure. It triggers a fever, maybe a seizure. That's the trigger event. The doctor recommends Tylenol, which depletes glutathione and really messes with the pathways, the enzymes that are involved with detoxification. It weakens the child's defense, amplifying the toxic insult of the vaccine. And now what's been shown, or what these, not just RFK Jr., but the doctors who are on his panel, these world-renowned medical doctors, are saying that this is the pathway to developmental regression, and they're pointing right to autism. So this just came out a couple of days ago, on Monday, and the autism announcement was recommend no Tylenol for babies when they are given vaccines. So I call this a good start. Okay. Hey, CC, thank you so much. I'm glad you were here last night. Wouldn't want to have a masterclass without you. MMR they're recommending giving the MMR shot in 3 separate shots. Label Tylenol should not be used in pregnancy except for emergencies. The administration, RFK Jr., Trump backing him, removing aluminum from vaccines, spreading out over 4 or 5 visits. Hepatitis B vaccine only recommended for age 12 and up. Validated autism moms who know vaccines are responsible for their child's autism. That's an important thing. Moms who, in the words of RFK Jr., have been marginalized, gaslit, just rejected, basically acknowledging these moms. 40 to the number he said 40 to 60% of moms, the announcement here, 40 to 60% of moms who have autistic kids say that it happened reported that it happened between or during or right after their child was vaccinated. So acknowledging these moms who watch their normal children regress into autism, watch their lives, their families' lives turn into a nightmare, and then being told that they're crazy people to even suggest that the vaccine did that to their own child, who they know better than anybody in the world. So Trump's big announcement on autism will be that taking Tylenol during pregnancy increases the risk of autism. We knew that. It is important because it breaks 2 taboos about autism causes. One, it torpedoes the genetics monopoly on autism causation. The feds have been supporting almost exclusively these federal agencies that genetic research as a cause or the cause of autism for decades, but have yet to find any gene or combination of genes that is statistically significant. Also, women taking Tylenol during pregnancy because their doctors tell them to do it, taking Tylenol is iatrogenic, okay, causative in autism. Following doctor's orders increases a child's risk of autism. So I have, again, all of this is posted inside of my group, My Family, My Mission, my private group. We have almost a couple of thousand people in that group. And every week I post videos, I post content, I post information from my master classes, news posts, videos. Is a great one from Peter McCullough in there. You want to get into that group, we will approve you. If you're watching this video, go to My Family, My Mission, a Facebook group, and that's our Facebook group. I started that years ago, and we have tons of content in there, including the latest post from Peter McCullough, a phenomenal explanation as to why vaccines are dangerous, in particular, the COVID-19 shot. So with that being said, just wanted to kind of give a little bit of background on that announcement, and again, why Tylenol could produce or at least amplify the very dangerous and damaging effects of vaccines, particularly multiple ones given at a time. Again, you can see all these posts in the group, My Family, My Mission. So I'm going to go ahead and do a quick review, a quick flyover, as I always say, for the information, the resources that we talked about last night. Again, for all of you guys who were able to make it last night, thank you for being there. The Heart Smart Master Class. And so what did we cover there? Covered a lot. We covered a bit. Well, we started off with the fact that heart disease is a major problem. $400 billion spent on heart disease and heart-related issues every single year. Over 700,000 people dying every year. 2,500 people per day dying. It's just crazy. 49% of the population right now, diagnosable heart problems they're walking around with. High blood pressure, or maybe a coronary blockage or an arrhythmia or something of that nature. And we know that heart issues are a major problem. And again, they keep getting worse. And what's being done? More medications, more intervention, more diagnostics. And the problem just keeps getting worse. And the really bad part of the picture is the fact that not only you go to the doctor and they diagnose you with a heart problem, or you give them one medication, usually it's a stack of medications. And these medications come with a lot of side effects that really destroy your quality of life the longer they're taken. We talked about these. We talked about things like Eliquis and Coumadin and some of the different medications that are giving that have a profound impact on your health, particularly the bone health, your bone marrow, your stem cells, a lot of different things going on there. So we broke that down last night. I went through the pathways of how statin medications work, blood pressure medications work, and why you can lower cholesterol and still have a problem. We went through the pathways. Why are 75% of the people sitting in the hospital today who had a heart attack or stroke, why are they sitting there with normal cholesterol? So there is no guarantee that by lowering cholesterol, in fact, just as many people with low cholesterol as high cholesterol, people with high cholesterol, they have just as many heart attacks or strokes. And you've been told, no, if you lower your cholesterol, you're going to live longer or not die from a heart attack or stroke. And it's just not true. We went through all that last night. And again, the dangers of these drugs, knowing that while you take these drugs, whether blood pressure medication, whether you're taking cholesterol medication, they push you in a right range, you're in a normal, healthy range, you still can die of a heart attack or stroke, have a heart attack or stroke. Why? Because you're not dealing with the core issue, which again, not getting to the cause, not lowering inflammation, and not getting the body healthy. Your body's still sick and diseased while your numbers, your blood markers are within normal range. That's why it doesn't make sense. So we broke all that down. I went through a ton of research. I went through how the pharmaceutical companies come to their conclusions, what they tell the public about the effectiveness of these medications, relative risk versus absolute risk. We covered that. And we covered a very profound research paper from the journal Hypertension. Hypertension, published by the American Heart Association. And this paper came out not long ago, 2019. It was, I believe it was published here. And it showed out of these different groups of people, the group of people that had the greatest risk for having a cardiovascular event. So there are four groups. One, they looked at people who had normal blood pressure without medications. They looked at a second group that had, they had normal blood pressure because they were taking blood pressure medications. Looked at a second group that had high blood pressure and they weren't taking anything. And then they looked at another group that had high blood pressure while they were taking the blood pressure medication. So the blood pressure medication didn't take their blood pressure down or didn't put it into a normal range. And so the people with the highest risk for having a stroke, heart attack, cardiovascular event were the people who had normal blood pressure while they were taking a blood pressure medication or medications. So the blood pressure medications put them in a normal range, maybe brought them from like 145 over 95 blood pressure to like a 118 over 79 blood pressure. And these people had the highest risk for having a cardiovascular event. Those people, they had a 230% higher risk of having a stroke, a 200% greater risk of having a coronary event. And so this is a problem. Published by the American Heart Association, this paper, we went through it last night and we talked about why. And we also talked about the only way out of this predicament is lifestyle intervention. You have to change, you have to move, you have to optimize your movement, optimize your vitamin D, optimize your omega-3 index, your omega oils, optimize your sleep, your stress reduction, your weight, your blood sugar management by way of lifestyle. And there's nothing more potent or powerful at reducing your risk of cardiovascular disease than lifestyle changes, getting adjusted. 65% lower risk of cardiovascular disease and 83% lower risk of fatal cardiovascular disease by diet, physical exercise, moderating your alcohol consumption, adequate sleep, And so doing these things can radically reduce your odds far beyond what any medication could ever promise to do. We talked about sauna, how powerful it is at reducing your cardiac risk, your cardiac vascular or cardiac disease risk, stroke, heart attack risk. We talked about how multiple studies out there have shown that the strongest predictor of your cardiovascular disease risk is not LDL, bad cholesterol. It's your inflammatory marker measured in the way of CRP, C-reactive protein. So we went through the spine and the vagus nerve and how you have direct innervation into the heart and the nerves in the neck and the upper back, how important it is to keep the spine healthy and well adjusted so the brain can communicate power into your organs, particularly your heart, all emanating from your neck, your upper neck, your lower neck, your upper back. Talked about heart rate variability, the reason why arteries clog. And when you go to get a blood panel, why lowering LDL does not reduce your risk unless you lower the smallest particles. So within the LDL profile, you have large buoyant particles, large fluffy particles. Your LDL is made out of large particles and also small particles, small dense particles, ApoB. One thing that's hardly ever measured, one marker hardly ever measured is ApoB, the most accurate predictor long-term of your risk for damage, arterial damage, and plaquing and clogging and shutting off of the blood flow in your arteries. And it's hardly ever looked at. And so you really want to understand these markers. You want to understand what grows ApoB. ApoB is grown by sugar and seed oils, omega-6. So we talked about these things, the right foods, the wrong foods, the foods that heal your heart and your arteries, the foods that ignite inflammation inside of your arteries. We talked about why arteries clog. It's not because of cholesterol. Talked about the importance of optimizing your omega-3 index, how to do it. In our office, we measure that on all our patients. Vitamin D, you optimize your vitamin D. Optimal, grade is over 60, optimal 80 or 100. You optimize your vitamin D, decrease your risk of having a heart attack by 600%. That's in the medical literature. Optimize your omega-3, DHA, EPA, fish oil. The omega-3 index needs to be between 8 and 12%. We measure that on all of our patients. Those are two critical markers to optimize your heart health. So we talked about that in length. We have a calculator that we use in our office to optimize and then figure out where you're at and how to optimize your long-term maintenance dosage of fish oil. We talked about all of the markers. I went through how to really look at your heart, not only how to test, but how to accurately test your cardiac profile. We talked about CRP, small dense LDL, homocysteine, hemoglobin A1C, insulin, LPA. These are markers that more than likely your doctor has never tested on you, but they're critical to know about if you're going to have long-term heart health. ApoB, ApoA ratio, your ApoA1, ApoA or ApoB, vitamin D, your plaque test. Have you ever had a plaque test? You know what that number should be. Uric acid, comprehensive metabolic panel. Triglycerides are really the only marker of value on your standard panel. But then when you get that number, you want to understand the ratio of triglyceride to HDL, and then your omega-3 index. So I showed the panel, the ideal marker panel that you want to have to give to your doctor to do. And many will not do it. That's why we have our own phlebotomist here and we run our own panels in our office. I went through the big 5 players in terms of supplements. What are the 5 most important supplements you want to have in your heart protocol? EPA, DHA, resveratrol, curcumin, nitric oxide, CoQ10. And those right there will lower your inflammation, shield your small particles from getting damaged and oxidized. By the way, if you have the right supplements coming in, the right foods, you can naturally lower triglycerides. by way of foods and the right supplements without medications. So again, easy, non-toxic lifestyle interventions to build, grow, and maintain a healthy heart and healthy vessels for life. By the way, did you know that fish oil can help prevent blood clots, acts as a blood thinner, raises HDL, and it can prevent arrhythmias? That's a huge concern for many of my patients, arrhythmias, electrical misfiring of the heart. So we went through all of this and more. And if you were there last night, you know we spoke on it for about 90 minutes. It was quite a bit there. For all of you who were there last night, you have the password to go into my website. And inside of the website, you have all the slides. You'll see videos. You have all that content in there. And if you want access to it, let me know and I can get you the password. You can message me inside of Facebook and I'll get you all that information. I have a lot of patients. I had one in particular this morning who said, I used to come to your master classes. I wish I could. I was so upset last night. I couldn't make it. I have macular degeneration and I can't drive at night. And I can't tell you how much I want to be here. Is there a way to get the information? And yeah, I said, let me get it for you. And I'd much rather have her here, but we got her access to the website. She's in there now pulling off the slides and the videos. So if that's you, maybe you are a current patient and you want to come, you can't make it, we'll try to make these resources available to you. If you can make it, make every effort too, because for those of you guys who are there, you know, there's no substitute for coming. It's a very different experience than just looking at a bunch of slides. We have an interactive type of process, a learning experience, and we want you there if you can make it. So mark your calendars. Well, in October, we'll have, I'll get you the exact date, hormone, thyroid, and stress masterclass. Such an important masterclass, just like the heart one, we do it twice per year. Also, October 9th, you definitely want to know this date, especially if you come on Thursday mornings for your adjustments in the morning before 11. On that day, do not come before 11 o'clock. 11 until 6, Patient Appreciation Day. Twice per year, this is the day that we have to celebrate you. If you're an active patient, this is for you only. We have food, fun, celebration, prizes, all kinds of ways, free adjustments that we use to celebrate our beloved patients. We appreciate you greatly, and twice per year, we get to shower you with love and appreciation. So after that day, we have on Tuesday, the 14th of October, another way we celebrate our patients is we allow them to refer in friends, family members, loved ones at no cost. Free services on that day between 11 and 1. We don't do this any other time of the year where we give away free services. But when you send those people in, they get consult exam, films, everything, a report of findings, follow-up visit. All of it is included, no charge, all free, but they have to be referred in by a current active patient. This is not open to the community. This is a special event that we do. Unless if I know you personally and you're a non-patient, I know you personally and you know me from the community and you reach out to me, I could refer you into the office. The other thing I will mention is a lot of former patients who've been away from the practice for a while. And if you've been away from the practice for longer than 3 months, you have to start over. You have to get a brand new evaluation exam. You have to get everything redone and refreshed. If that's you, if you're an inactive patient, you've not been at the office for 3 months, certainly 6 months or longer, you have to get the process redone. And you can do that under the umbrella of the Patient Appreciation Day. You have to let us know. You have to call in and just let us know that you're coming. All the services will be free. So Patient Appreciation Day, Thursday, October 9th, 11 to 6. October 14th, Tuesday, 11 to 1, no charge for the services. Great opportunity to get the spine and the nervous system checked, a chiropractic checkup. Thank you so much for joining me. Remember, if you want to be part of our private group where all of the content that I discuss, newsletters, newspapers, the articles, the news releases, my videos, the slides, a lot of the content there, it's all housed at that site or in that group, My Family, My Mission. Go there, join, be part of our amazing health community. In the meantime, everybody have a great Wednesday. I'll see you next week. Dr. Dan Yachter signing off. God bless.